but I'm going to try really hard to get comfortable with video because it is the way of the future. And, you know, one of the things that I want to focus on this year, you know, it's my one thing for my business is social media. And if I'm going to focus on social media, then I have to get comfortable with video.
I love that, Jan. Thank you for sharing that. See?
You
See?
guys just don't want to see this camera on.
This is a great mastermind. You see what just happened? Love it. Love it. Jan, I think that, first of all, thank you for sharing. I know that's been a challenge for you. So did you guys hear the stat that I think Josh Team said that 80 million, did I hear that right? 80 million people every day in America watch Facebook Live. 80 million people. Okay, so that's roughly a quarter of the population of America watches at least one Facebook Live per day. Per day. Okay, so what does that tell you? Video is where it's at, right? I'm not particularly comfortable with video. I mean, look, but I used to be a perfectionist. You know, I can't even, like, you know, when you have to record like a different away message for your phone, like that used to take me an hour. Like, I kid you not, it used to take me an hour. I was like, oh, I didn't say that
your
quite.
bad hair day is nothing compared to mine.
You know, Jan, we're all friends here. Just throw on a baseball cap and come learn. So I guess what I'm saying is people don't expect you to be perfect, right? Perfection is the enemy of progress, right? People don't want you to, like, they don't want the video to be flawless because
that was one of the big things that came out of that, is that, you know, they just want you to be real.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you know, trying to be perfect and, you know, everything staged and fake, because, you know, that's what was in the past, as everybody, you know, all the selfies and the staging and, you know, the perfect hair and the perfect clothes and everything, and people just want you to be real now.
Exactly. And it's almost like what used to be the norm of, like, you know, wearing, you know, suit and tie, buttoned up, everything is, you know, kind of what we would think of now as a bit more rigid. Like that almost that, first of all, it does seem a little inauthentic now. But it also seems it's kind of a thing of the past, right? It's almost like if that's what you embrace, like you have a failure to adapt or to change, and people are very, very sensitive to that, right? I mean, you literally got the CEO wearing I'm not making a judgment on this, a t-shirt on stage speaking to 180,000 people.
Well,
right?
I feel like one of the reasons I win so many of my listing consultations is I don't go in with a ton of statistics and, you know, a binder full of crap. I just go in with myself. And I know what I'm talking about. I'm friendly. I'm the person that I'm going to be throughout the transaction. And I think that helps me tremendously, because some people go in and everything's scripted and they're not genuine because they're not comfortable in the skin they're in. And I think it helps me. You know, hopefully it's not signed yet, but I probably got a new listing yesterday. And it's because
Beautiful,
when I met
Jan.
with the guy, he wanted me to tell him something and I didn't. I told him how it was. He didn't like it. He came back 2 months later, and guess what? He asked me to list the property for him. He hasn't signed it yet. But
That's like what they say in bold. Like, if you go to the doctor because you don't feel well and you got a tumor, you want the doctor to tell you everything's cool, or do you want the doctor to fix you?
right.
Right? Like, if I got a problem, tell me what my problem is, and then let's put our heads together and let's fix it. Look, I bought GE stock at $40 a share. Do y'all know what it's worth now?
I have no clue.
About 6.
Oh.
Okay, now I sold it. Actually, I sold it one day off of an 18-year high, coincidentally. But I will tell you that if I went to the open market and tried to sell my share of GE, I don't own it anymore, but if I had a share, What would I sell it for? I'd sell it for 6. Because there ain't nobody in the world that's going to pay 40 for it. Well, I paid 40 for it. Well, the market doesn't give a damn what you paid for it. It is worth what it's worth, right? So it's like, am I going to take a listing and go, pitch that the world buys a share of GE for $40? It's going to be a long road. It don't matter how many magazines I put it in. I could shoot fireworks off from my open house. Ain't nobody coming. You see what I'm saying? So the question is, are you telling it like it is, and are you yourself when you're doing it? I mean, Jan, literally, and this is please take this as a compliment. You have when I hear your voice, I hear that you want to help. I don't know. It's actually I can't exactly put my finger on it, but you have this like calming voice, right? And I think when people hear that, they say, this woman is not trying to get the best of me, right? This woman is she's here to help me.
And I always try to come from a place of help, because genuinely I do want to help people. Bill, you and I have had this conversation. I've lost a ton of money helping people. And one of the most heartbreaking things ever was I spent 6 months helping the mother of one of my clients. And we got to the day we were going to put it on the market and truly list it. And she decided, instead of going down in price, and it had been on the market for 6 months at the height of the market and didn't sell for $429. And when I agreed to help her, she agreed to list it for $420. And if it didn't sell within 2 weeks, lower it down to $400. Guess
Right.
It's been on the market now with another agent for 8 months. She finally dropped it down to $400, and she went under contract in a week, which is the exact price I told her. And I wanted to help her desperately because she needed the help. She's an elderly lady, she's handicapped, she's sick. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for you as well. And I was going to wind up spending another $1,000 on pictures and staging, and I couldn't in good conscience do that to my business, knowing how flighty this woman was. She went up to $469, so she was $70,000 off the mark. And I knew I couldn't sell that house for that. And I just told her kindly, I said, Jackie, we're going to have to part ways. I said, because, I know your house is not going to sell for that. I said, and I'm going to have to make a substantial investment again in your house, in time and money. And she was really mad at me, but at the end of the day, her family really appreciated that, because it was a wake-up call to her.
And you didn't get paid yet. You could call that woman right back right now and say, congratulations, I see you're under contract, or congratulations, I see you just sold. I hope everything is okay. Let me know if I can help you in the future.
And I still have a relationship with her parents.
Right. Rather than having what I just described as a 10-second call, it's as if you it's just like, I'm watching. That home sold for what I said it would sell for, right?
Right.
It's not necessarily necessary, but it would probably bring me some kind of sick satisfaction. So that's probably something I would do, right?
Well, we I want to do it so bad,
Do it. Go have fun. This business is supposed to be fun.
But at the end of the day, I didn't do it, for that satisfaction. I did it because I could help that person, and she desperately needed the help.
Right.
That's what I have to remember.
Exactly. And you know what? People, sometimes we're going to help people and we're not going to get paid. And sometimes we're going to get paid what we consider to be an appropriate amount of money. And every once in a while, we get a check that we're like, damn, I love this business. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just like the call I got yesterday from this investor. The property's only $125,000, but he rehabs about 15 houses a year. And he really likes what I did for another investor. And so he's giving me a shot. And I'm hoping I get those other 15 a year.
Right.
That would be huge.
That's one of the things we're going to talk about today this morning in the listing presentation session, which is you as quickly as humanly possible, you've got to figure out how your future client or your prospect wants to be served, right? If you were to have A plus perfect, remarkable, extraordinary experience getting this home sold or buying this home, walk me through exactly what that looks like, right? And so somewhere in your courtship with that man, you figured that out, and you have been delivering on it, and that's why he enjoys you, right? That also goes back to the authenticity piece with video, which is, people don't do business with the highest selling realtor in town. They do business with the one they know and they enjoy spending time with, right? So 70%, and it's like 72 or 73% of sellers will only interview one agent, right? So that means if you get in there first and you don't make a total fool out of yourself, 7 out of 10 of the times you're going to get this paperwork signed. They don't care how long you've been in the business. They don't care how many homes you sold or what your stats are. They just want to know you're authentic and you truly care about them, and that you're willing to work as hard as possible. It's like, if you guys go back and watch that video with Jenny Vereen from a couple months ago, she has that big listing down in Locust Grove, 10,000 square foot house on 224 acres or 221 acres. And the guy says, have you ever sold a home like this before? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, do you think you can do it? I said, well, I'll tell you what, I don't know if I can do it or not, but you ain't going to find anyone that's going to work harder than me. And she stared him right in the face and said that. And when she was done saying that, she stopped talking and looked him dead in the face. And he's like, okay, let's give it a shot. You see what I'm saying? So it's not always, and John, this should hopefully be relieving for you to some degree, right? You're not going to be going against Mark Spain every time. You just got to go in there and tell them how you feel about, what this relationship is going to be like, and then figure out exactly how to serve that person the way they want to be served, right? If Tawanta doesn't want to communicate by email, and she instead wants to communicate by text, and she doesn't want me to bother her from, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, first of all, you got to figure that out. And second of all, you got to prove that you're listening by respecting that, right? So if I send her an email at 6 at night, she's gonna be like, this dude is not listening, right? It's got virtually nothing to do with real estate. It's simply getting into appropriate relationship with your client. And how are you going to navigate that? Meaning, what questions are you going to ask them to figure it out, right? Jan, what if that guy gave you 15 buys and 15 sales after the homes were renovated? I mean, you wouldn't have to call another stranger all year.
No, but I wouldn't stop calling strangers. Meeting strangers.
Jan, you're good. Jan, you and I are clicking today.
Yeah. I'll tell you a perfect example of that is Merrill Land. She had an investor that had a huge portfolio to sell. And, she spent an entire year focused solely on his stuff. And so when she got down to the last couple of properties, she didn't have anything else in her pipeline. So,
I know. I worked with her a little bit that year. And I believe that was one of her worst years in a while.
Yeah,
because she was really overwhelmed with this guy. And I mean, she had a good year. I mean, she's been a 6-figure earner for 30 years or more, but it was a bit of an off year because she kind of got out of rhythm a little bit. She was doing work that she wasn't used to doing.
Right. And it's hard because you're like, oh, Dustin's got 15 houses in the works and I'm going to get to do them all. And unfortunately, if I only do his 15 houses, then my other investor, Alex, who refers me to everybody, I'll lose his business because I won't have time to focus on him. So I have
so that's when you bring on help.
Right. So I have to really strategize how to maintain all of these people that give me tons of business and seek out new business at the same time. Because
that's a great kind of summary comment. And at that moment, you need leverage, and leverage comes in 3 different forms. People leverage, right? System leverage,
Right.
right? Most of those 15 buys are going to be a very similar process. You'll probably use the same attorney. You'll probably use the same lender if there is one. You'll use the same contractors. Everything is going to be pretty standard, right? And the way he wants the virtual tours done, when he wants the homes listed, and what the listing paperwork looks like, it's all going to be virtually the same, right? So you have templates, and everything is super systematized and automated as much as possible, right? You could even pay a virtual assistant to help you set up all that stuff. Then the next thing is, the other form of leverage is technology, right? So what technology can you bring into this experience to make it easier for you to do your job and easier for your client to do their role, right? And then you bring on help, fiscal help, right? So you might need an additional body to man all these tasks, right? And in that case, that's the fun part, because then you get to make a list of all the things that you don't really like doing, and that becomes the job description of the person you're going to go hire, right? So you don't like doing paperwork, you don't like putting listings in, don't do it anymore. Okay, Jan, let's get to some tangible action steps. If you don't mind, I'm going to work with you for a second.
Okay.
So you have publicly shared with the 3 of us that your intention is to take your video presence to the next level.
Yes.
So eventually there will be very large wins in that arena for you. But until we get to that point, what would be the first thing that comes to mind that we can create a short-term, smaller win for you, so that you can make some progress and you can get some confidence and you can take a very, very clear action step towards this goal? What's the one thing that you need to do right now?
The one thing that I need to do right now is hire somebody to teach me how to use my video camera. More than just turn it on and,
So
I need to know
you're talking about your
how
cell
the
phone
functions.
or a different camera?
No, a video camera. So at least, what I'm doing is good, because, I bought a new tripod, I bought a new camera. So now I need to learn how to use them. And supposedly it was supposed to be a really simple camera, but, I'm just not a tech person. So
Okay,
I'm
will
going to
you
find
follow?
somebody and hire them.
Would you be willing to follow my advice on this?
Sure.
Okay, I want you to take a picture of the camera and take a picture of the tripod, and I want you to post it in the PC group, and I want you to say, hey, I will pay you $100 or whatever you want, whatever you feel is appropriate. I need somebody to come over here and help me get it all set up a system for it, teach me all the tools. Who wants to read this instruction manual and make it work? Because I ain't got time for that. It's not my one thing, right? And tell them exactly how much you want to pay. Hey, I would expect that all this could be done in 2 hours. I'll give you $100. Who's interested? Right?
Okay.
And I guarantee you will find somebody. Guarantee it. Okay. Now, once you have that done, that's an awesome first step. Now you know how to use your tools. So then you say, well, what's the next thing I need to do? What's the next one thing I need to do? So a good example of that might be one of the almost certainly stumbling blocks that you and pretty much everyone else will encounter is consistency, right? You get this idea and you're like, oh, I'm going to do like 2 videos. I'll do one for first-time home buyers. I'll do one for investors. I'll do one for the market stats and stuff. And next thing you know, you've done 4 or 5 of them, and then you create a couple clients and you get too busy to do videos anymore.
One of the things that I have done, I made sure I bought a very small video camera that was portable, so it could stay in my purse at all times. And I have a tripod in my car so that I can take it with me everywhere I go, to every new listing. I'm getting ready to do one for the listing I have coming up in 2 weeks. you know, a personal one before the listing goes live, because I can do a coming soon.
So then the question would be, how do I know that I'm executing that plan? Like, so for example, what is the standard for Jan Alicardi's business for video? Is it twice a week? And it's got to have a number, right? If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. If you can't measure it, you can't check it off, right? So is it, I do 2 videos a week, or I do 4 videos a week, or I do 1 a week, or I do 1 every day? You got to be able to say,
So
here's
you're
my
saying come up with a plan for personal videos, not just for my listings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing is, like, let me use me as an example. So let's say that I'm kind of in your web, I'm in your database, right? And you all of your content is based on telling me about listings that I don't, for lack of a better way to put it, I don't really care about one of your random listings if I already own a home and I'm comfortable, right? I want you to talk to me about something that's relevant to me, right? What's going on in the, how is COVID affecting, home sales and home stats? What's going on with the election? What's new with interest rates? Are there any opportunities out there for me, right? I don't give a damn about your listing, right? I mean, obviously I do, because I'm working with you, but the average Joe who lives in a home that they already like living in and isn't particularly interested in moving, you gotta give them what they want, right? So my recommendation would be, like, take out a whiteboard and kind of jot down, like, what is the goal here? What point am I trying to communicate to the market, right? Do I have, like, hey, in September I'm going to talk about this concept primarily, and in October I'm going to talk about this concept, right? What other sources of information could I bring in? How frequently do I want to share market stats versus maybe interview a business owner in the community? How often do I want to tour a house with somebody? Like, give it some real thought, so you don't come out like at a 12 and then have to retreat to like a 6. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Beautiful. All right, I'm going to stop the recorder and start